If you're not aware, in September, the world recognizes an aspect of mental illness many find difficult to address, which is the suicide prevention and awareness. Hello, I'm your host, Dr. Laverne Chandler, and today I will be discussing suicide and how it can be prevented and how those entertaining the idea of suicide can seek treatment. Some of the terms I will use today might be familiar to some, but for those who aren't familiar, a lot of the terms and definitions will be on the screen as I go along and describe what is suicide. What is suicide? Suicide is defined as someone injuring themselves with the intent to die. Their actions are intentional as opposed to someone dying from a drug overdose, but is not the person's intention to end their lives. The next term is what is suicide ideation. When someone struggles with suicide ideation, they have more frequent thoughts and fantasies about death, especially their own death. There was a story that was written for two people that were in love with one another, which was referred to as Romeo and Juliet. That looks at two lovers who took their own lives due to the obstacles they had to face. It is my goal to dispel the myths associated with mental illness. Truly, there is nothing romantic about a person being consumed with grief or sadness over romantic love and they end their lives. There is nothing honorable about making a pact or an agreement with another human being to end their lives together by suicide. How many deaths happen each year from suicide? And what are the warning signs? Let's define hopelessness. How is suicide viewed in different cultural subsets? We're going to talk about the church, and we're going to also talk about the African American community. Societal views of suicide. How many people attempt suicide each year? So we're going to talk about dispelling the myths surrounding suicide. It is my intent to get into the details of suicide and also allow others to come in and voice their opinions on what they feel or how they feel they can help individuals who are suffering every day. It is really, really sad to think about suicide, but people sometimes feel like there's nowhere to go and nowhere to get help. So this is what this podcast is going to be all about. How do you find help? How do you get help? And how do you know when your loved ones need help? Thank you for joining today. And my next episode will get into more details and explaining the definitions that we just described today. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Thanks again for watching.